we talked about getting out and practicing real Asatru in the real world. And you mentioned earlier that real life Asatru versus internet Asatru is something you wanted to speak on. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that.
I do. So a lot of the time, and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek, funny, not funny joke within Asatru communities that you're constantly being told you're doing it wrong. You're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. I can sort this source from this book, from this publication date, from this author. You're doing it wrong. Asatru is not in a book. Worshipping the gods is not in a book. Worshipping the gods is in your blood. It is in your soul. It is your birthright. There is no book that can determine your birthright. The gods are your most ancient ancestors, and you carry that on through your ancestors. You have a direct link. You don't need to read 500 books to have that. That spark is natural. Now, there are a few things that we have historically that we can see that were done. However, for the people who are constantly telling you that you're doing it wrong, or telling the AFA that we're doing it wrong, they're putting a lot of faith in a book. We're putting the faith in our folk. We're putting the faith in our leadership. We're putting the faith in our Godar, and we're utmost putting the faith in our gods. That's where we find our justification. You can read a million books, you can write a million essays, but when's the last time you did a bloat? When's the last time you participated in the gift cycle? When's the last time you shared frith with someone? Those are the things that are important. You can regurgitate all the information you want, but it has no meaning without practice, and it has no meaning without devotion. So that is one thing I really wanted to touch on tonight, is that, this is your birthright. As the folk, this is our birthright. And you don't need a certificate from a book. You don't need anyone else's permission. This is your birthright.
That's really important. I made this, first, it's easy for me to get on a tangent on this and for people to misunderstand. Reading books is really important. Studying things, studying archaeology, studying linguistics, studying the lore is super important. And it can do so much to inform your practice, to help you build a better relationship with the gods, to help you build a better understanding. But if it ends there, you're not connected to our gods in a relationship. You're a weird stalker. Like, I made this analogy before, and it may sound silly, but I think it's absolutely the truth. If my wife had a strange stalker that dug through the trash and, dug up old records on essays my wife wrote in high school, he would know certain things about my wife that I don't know. I will give him that. But he doesn't have a relationship. Meanwhile, we're married and she's the mother of my child, and every day I have a relationship with my wife. The minutia of details that you get when you go through the dumpster doesn't make a relationship. A relationship is made through interaction. Brandy made this point with the gifting cycle. A relationship is made with our gods when you stand before them and you offer them your sincere worship or something from your heart. When they receive it and when they give you their blessings in return. And when you do that, it's a cycle. When you do that cyclically, it doesn't just go in a circle, but it spirals upwards to even better and stronger things. And we see that the longer we're engaged in that gift cycle with our gods. It's something I say to our detractors, but it's also something I say to our members and anybody listening to this. The biggest thing I could recommend you do is go out there and practice Asatru with other Asatruar. Go and open your heart, open your mind to our gods and see, and give it a shot and see what happens. It's the hardest thing to argue with some of these people because we can argue about different ancient texts, but I can't talk to them in a way that's going to make sense about religious experience if they haven't experienced it. But the people who have experienced it, once you do, you can never go back and you can never not know and never not have that. But the folks that won't take that first step of participating, they miss out on that and they'll never know that joy. And that's really unfortunate. So I can't encourage you more to go out and be part of that gifting cycle and be and do Asatru.
For those, for a lot of people that are just starting out and they are just feeling that first spark of pull to the ACER, the question is always, where do I start? And we can give you a few good books to start with, but one thing I want you to really think about and really start with before you get too deep into quoting any books is I want you to find a nice, quiet place in your home that's going to be undisturbed. Get some candles, some incense. Get a bowl for an offering. Decide who it is that you want to start that gift cycle with, whether it's the ACER, whether it's a specific god or goddess, whether it's what I would recommend also is your ancestors that have passed on. Leave a gift for them on this space. It doesn't have to be fancy wording. You don't have to have on a special cloak made of crushed velvet or anything like that. Find a quiet place. Talk to your gods. Talk to the heroes. And talk to your ancestors. And leave them a gift. And the more you do this and the more you build that relationship, the more that you're going to see these gifts return to you. And that's how you start the cycle. It's not memorizing a book. It's something from the heart. Start the cycle. Everybody says, where do I start? Start there. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Start with what you got.